Record. Yes, we did. We're going to do the set aside prayer. We're going to do our meditation. God, please enable me to set aside everything I think I know for an open mind and a new experience. Help me see the truth about the unmanageability of my life. Amen. And we'll now do our meditation. Okay, welcome back. It's always a very powerful meditation for me. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Tyla, I don't see where you are, but unmute yourself and here we go.
An alcoholic and a drug addict in my God-given sobriety day, 34 years. It is by the grace of God. And what a beautiful wrap up, Michael. And I want to thank the group. I want to thank Michael and Mike and Chris and Molly and Kathy. And if I missed anyone, I'm sorry. They do each year. It's amazing. And I want to tell the group that briefly how this came about for me. You know, BBA 20 years ago, I'll just give you a brief rundown. 20 years ago, I was 12 years sober, 13 years sober, and I was dying of something that I had no idea what it was. I was super depressed, sitting in my house thinking, you know what, I'm suicidal. I mean, I knew I wouldn't do it, but I'm suicidal. And how did I get that way? How did this happen? I did 10 years at Vista Jail, 10 years at County Detox. I did everything, sponsored a lot. I did everything that I knew I was supposed to do. And because, you know, when you look at the history of Alcoholics Anonymous, if you read about it, which I hope you do, because it will make it more of a family to you when you understand how it all came about. And you see, to me, and I know Michael and Vinny and everyone knows this, you see the hand of God in every single part. And that's what happened with me. You know, I was just begging God in my room, I don't know what to do. I'm just so miserable. And the next day, a gal I sponsored gave me a set of cassettes. It was cassettes then. And she said, I know you listen to speakers. This is a great speaker. I'd never heard of him in my life. It was Mark Houston. And she said, you need to listen to this. And it was a 6-part. If you ever want to listen to it, it's up online. It was a 6-part workshop called The Glass House in Fort Worth, Texas. And it is incredible, you guys, if you ever want to listen to it. So I was driving after she gave it to me and I put it in my car. I remember putting it in the cassette in my car and listening and going, you guys, I couldn't believe it. I mean, I really, to this day, the astonishment and to me, what he was talking about was unbelievable. I had never heard it. I'd never heard anything about the spiritual malady. I'd never heard about the internal condition. I'd never heard any of this. And I listened to it so much that my friends called me Tyla Houston, because I could quote probably every part of it, because I wanted to get what he was talking about through the cassette. I was so hungry. So I found Mark in Texas and I flew him to San Diego and I asked him to take me through the big book and teach me the way, however he did the work. I wanted what he had. And so Mark came out, and when Mark came, he brought me the Big Book Awakening, the Idiot's Guide, and my life was forever changed. And to this day, I look back and I think about it. The gratitude in my heart every year, every minute is just grows and grows, because I don't know where my life would be had I not understood this. Because you can say, well, why did it make a difference? Why was it such a difference? Because if I don't know what's wrong with me, why am I going to seek a solution the way the big book asked me to? I wasn't doing prayer and meditation the way I needed to until I understood the internal condition. So it's really important to understand the problem, so I am pushed to the solution at a deeper level. So that's how it happened. And then I met Dan Sherman through Mark, and then I started working with Dan Sherman, and Michael came in, and Vinny, and all these people. And then the Big Book Awakening just took off, and it was just really, you guys, it was all the hand of God. Everything fell into place. People got rooms, everyone helped. It was incredible. And, I feel like we've got a great group of people that do this work, and help others. And so many people are helped. And I know BBA, I want to say this is not for everyone, but it certainly is for the mad dogs. And it certainly is for me. And I love it. I'm so blessed to have it. So I want to start, like Michael said, we finished out the physical craving and the mental obsession. Okay. And I want to read a couple things to you about the book. Talks about we admitted we admitted our lives are unmanageable. And our lives were unmanageable. And you can turn the dash straight up, Joe Hawk says, which I love, and it can become a block. And you can say, I don't have the mental, I don't have the physical, and my life's not unmanageable. And I'm going to stop here because thank you very much. I can manage my life. And that's what a lot of us did because we didn't know any different. But the book talks about the unmanageability. And I want to just quote a few places because I think it's so relevant. And, I'm not going to give you the pages because it'll add too much time to it that I'm reading from. So in the doctor's opinion talks about maladjusted to life. Being maladjusted to life is, I want to control my external world so that it is adjusted to me. I want the world around me to be adjusted to me. That is maladjusted. Normal people adjust to life. They don't try to get life to adjust to them. That is spiritually sick. I'm in full flight from reality. They lock people up for that. They're delusional, talking to themselves, walking down the street. They pick them up, 5150 them. So I see that that's maladjusted to life. Outright mental defectives. And you know what? All of those things were me. And then it goes down to talk about one of the best descriptions. And when you do, if you have been around and done the spiritual malady, the bedevilment exercise and all that, there's some things and you can add to it, because I don't believe that it's as helpful to me to just stay where I was 20 years ago, doing the bedevilments exactly the same way. And I'll share with you another way that I do it, being further down the road. So it says, one of the best descriptions is Dr. Silkworth, where it says, men and women drink and use because they like the effect produced by alcohol. The sensation is so elusive, I can't catch it. While they admit it is injurious, it does hurt me. They cannot, after a time, differentiate the true from the false. To them, their alcoholic life seems the only normal one. They are restless, irritable, easily annoyed, discontented, never satisfied, unless they can again experience the sense of ease and comfort. And sense means, it doesn't necessarily mean I'm getting ease and comfort, because I'm not getting ease and comfort. When I talk to people that I'm working with, when did they cease to get ease and comfort from alcohol and drugs before they came into the program? I was out 23 years using and drinking, and I probably didn't get ease and comfort for at least 10 years before I came in. I was chasing, I'm going to tell you this. I see that not seeing the true from the false is that I was chasing a delusion that I get ease and comfort. I'll get ease and comfort when I hadn't got it in 5 years or 10 years. I'll get ease and comfort from drinking and using. I'm chasing a delusion driven by a mental obsession. I am delusional around it. It is not true. So when they say sense, it doesn't mean it's necessarily true. So also on page 18, I'm not going to read you all of the places that it says this, but on page 18, at the top of page 18, he talks about an illness. And it's so important for people to understand that this is an illness, that they are not bad, that they really have an illness, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. An illness of this sort, and we have come to believe it's an illness, involves all those about them in a way no other human sickness can. If a person has cancer, all are sorry for him and no one is angry or hurt, but not so with the alcoholic illness. For with it goes annihilation of all things worthwhile in life. It engulfs all whose lives touch the sufferers. It brings misunderstanding, fierce resentment, financial insecurity, disgusted friends and employers, warped lives of blameless children, sad wives and parents. Anyone can increase the list. When I'm taking someone through the work, I have them inventory all those things in just on a piece of paper, right? Whose lives were affected, fierce resentment, who were the strong resentments while you were out there using and drinking. So I have them inventory this. We can do it orally or we can write it down. I prefer that they write it down, but you can also do it orally. So we come over to page 44, which is the beginning, in We Agnostics, is the beginning of the spiritual malady, the unmanageability, untreated alcoholism, dry drunk syndrome. And I look at the two last things in the big book that wrapped up the physical and the mental. And wrapped up the physical is the last paragraph on the bottom of page 22. Does my experience abundantly confirm that once I put any alcohol or drugs or food or whatever it is into my system, something happens, both in the bodily and mental sense, which makes it virtually impossible for me to stop until I get to that place. I don't know when that'll be. 2 weeks, 5 men, 2 trips to Thailand, whatever it'll be. And sometimes I never get to that place. Okay. So I have to see that my mind cannot stop the physical craving. When I take a drink and it takes me and I'm off and running and I can't stop the amount, my mind also can't stop it. And then I go over to page 43, where it says, this is the bottom, this 43 is the end of mental obsession. Once more, the alcoholic at certain times is mental defense against the first drink. Except in a few rare cases, neither he nor any other human being can provide such a defense. His defense must come from a higher power other than human. So the discussion with the person I'm working with is there anything human that can stop that part of you that gets you back to the next drink? Anything, a better job, another relationship, moving to Texas? What is there anything? Because you can't have any reservations. And so I talked to him about that if they have no reservations, that anything else can help them other than a power greater than themselves. And so then we go on to the spiritual malady. So we're in We Agnostics, and I'm going to read and share my experience with you. In the preceding chapters, you have learned something of alcoholism and addiction. Have I? And I'm going to talk to the person. Have I? What have you learned? We hope we have made clear the distinction between the alcoholic and the non-alcoholic. So I say to them, I'm going to read you 2 sentences and I want you to tell me what is at work here, the physical craving or the mental obsession. I want to see that they get this. So I will say to them, if when you honestly want to, you find you cannot quit entirely, and I ask them, what is that? And that is the mental obsession. Or if when drinking, you have little control, I'm sorry, that's the mental obsession. Yeah. Or if drinking, you have little control over the amount you take, you're probably alcoholic. That's the physical craving. If that be the case, you're probably suffering from an illness which only a spiritual experience will conquer. And do I believe that? And I mean, they've told us all through step 1 that we need a spiritual solution, that there's nothing that can be done human. To one who feels he's an atheist or agnostic, such an experience seems impossible. But to continue as he is means disaster, especially if he is an alcoholic of the hopeless variety, wants to quit but can't. And I think that's most of us. To be doomed to an alcoholic death or to live on a spiritual basis are not always easy alternatives to face. You know, and I like to talk to people I'm working with that. What is your spiritual basis of life today? How does it look? And I was talking to one of my spiritual guides yesterday, Dave Marquez, spiritual basis of life with time in the program, and how his is and how mine is, and doing an inventory on it, because it's very good. I think it needs to change as time goes on. I think that your spiritual basis of life will change because you're growing and what you need will change. And I say, take it to prayer and meditation and ask God how your spiritual basis of life is working, and ask God, are there any changes that need to be made? And please let me know, share it with me, because we begin to develop that direct relationship with God rather than calling our sponsor. It's better to call our sponsor after we get the guidance and share with the sponsor the guidance that we got. Because one of the great things about Big Book Awakening is that we really push people to become reliant on God rather than sponsors. Doomed to an alcoholic death or to live on a spiritual basis of life are not always easy alternatives to face. And Mark Houston used to say, only an alcoholic, after you tell him that question, would say to you, let me take it home and think about it. This is the place that I'm going to look at. Is there a third alternative? Is there anything else for me? Like I just said before, anything else that is going to help me overcome my alcoholism and addiction other than a spiritual basis of life, or to die an alcoholic death? Is there anything I have left that I think will work? But it isn't so difficult. About half our original fellowship were of exactly that type. Atheists and agnostics. At first, some of us tried to avoid the issue, hoping against hope. We were not true alcoholics, but after a while, we had to face the fact that we must find a spiritual basis of life, or else. I think that's a great topic for a meeting. Or else. What does that mean? Fill in the blank, which it means, or I'm going to die an alcoholic death or an addict death. And there are worse things than dying an alcoholic death and an addict death. And I've seen them, and you guys have probably seen them. And I know Michael and Vinny and these guys have been around, have seen them. You might not die. You might have a seizure. You might have a stroke. You might end up in a wheelchair, sucking on a tube as someone pushes you around Nordstrom's. It's horrible. And I don't like to say it to scare you, because I know we can't scare an alcoholic or addict. It's really, they just don't get scared, because look at the way they live their life. But it is the truth. And I think that to me is scarier than dying, is living a life like the living dead, like the walking dead. At first, some of us tried to avoid the issue. Hoping against hope. We're not true alcoholics. But we must find a spiritual basis of life, or else drink. Perhaps it's going to be that way with you, but cheer up. Something like half of us thought we were atheists and agnostics. Our experience shows that you need not be disconcerted, troubled, disturbed. So what that means. Right there, I'm going to say, is there anything else that you can do, or any person can do, or any human aid can do, that can stop that party that's going to get you back to a drink or a drug? Is there any other solution for this that you have up your sleeve? So I can't control my drinking, and I can't control my stopping. I can't control the drink, and I can't control the stop. So he's going to take us into some other examples. If a mere code of morals or a better philosophy of life were sufficient to overcome alcoholism, many of us would have recovered long ago. But we found that such codes and philosophies did not save us, no matter how much we tried. We could wish to be moral. We could wish to be philosophically comforted. In fact, we could will those things with all our might, but the needed power wasn't there. Our human resources, as marshaled by the will, my mind, our human resources as marshaled by the will, my mind, were not sufficient. They failed utterly. So what is the book? What is Bill trying to tell me here? He's trying to tell me that he's taking me to a new level of powerlessness. He's taking me to the internal condition. He's taking me to some of the ideas that I have that also might save me, like a philosophy of life or moral ideas. So I look at a code of morals is right from wrong. When I was out there, I knew right from wrong, and even in early recovery, I knew right from wrong. But when I was out there and I knew right from wrong, I knew that you do not have affairs with married men. I knew it was wrong. I knew it was wrong when I was doing it. But I did not have the power to not do it. I did not have the power that could give me the willingness not to do it, the desire not to do it. So that right from wrong is that was when I knew something was wrong, I did it anyway if I wanted to, because what was always right was right for me in the moment. Even if it was wrong, if it was right for me, it was right, and I did it. But I was operating from a sickened spirit and a sickened mind. So then it says a philosophy of life could save me, if it could. So what is a philosophy of life? A philosophy of life is an idea about what I need in life to be okay. What do I need to be okay? When I was out there, this is what I needed. I needed fast cars, fast men. I was designing clothes and running with a really fast crowd, and was just wild as heck. You would look at me and you would think I really had it together. But inside I was dying. But I couldn't look there. I couldn't look there inside because it was so painful, and I had no idea what you do with it except to medicate it. All the feelings that I had inside, and so my philosophy of life was fast cars, fast men, lots of money, prestige, acclaim, completely materialistic. That's what I thought I needed to be okay. But the problem was, every time I got what I thought I needed to be okay, to create the ease and comfort in my life, it never went far enough, and it never lasted long enough. I always had to take it another step, because I think of the restless, irritable, and discontent. I look a lot at discontent. I never was content. I was content for a while. But then that little edge would slip in there, and I need a different man. I need a higher paying job. I need a faster car, whatever it is. It just didn't last long enough. It didn't keep me satisfied. So it says here, up on the top of 45, our human resources as marshaled by the will. My human resources is everything I bring to the table minus God. Everything. My money, my education, my parents, my influence, you know what I mean? My employers, everything I bring failed utterly. I could not create the life. It's going to ask me in the bedevilments, could I create a life that could keep me sober and happy? I didn't want to be sober, so that wasn't part of it, but could it keep me happy? I could not create that life because I was powerless. And every time the book says, shows a little p for power, that's my power. And that's how much power I have, as much as that little p in there. And the capital P is God's power. So lack of power, that was my dilemma. They say it's a dilemma because I don't like either choice. I don't like alcoholic death, spiritual way of life. So it's a dilemma for me. I didn't have a dilemma about it because I was so happy to have God in my life, so happy to get a new way of life, except I didn't know the part where we're at. I had no idea what this meant. We had to find a power by which we could live. Oh, not quit drinking? No, Tyla, live. Okay. I have no idea what that means. And it had to be a power greater than myself. Obviously, because my power took me so far. And if I want to go further, it better be a power greater than myself. But where and how was I to find this power? Capital P. Well, that's exactly what this book is about. Its main object is to enable me to find a power greater than myself, which will solve my problem. And this is what I did when I read this before BBA and, kind of understood. I never understood the book the way I do today because of BBA. I never did. So I thought We Agnostics was some chapter that was for theologists and professors. I never got that chapter. It was so above my head. But then when I did BBA, I could understand it, and it made such a difference in my life. But where it says we had, the main object is to enable me to find a power greater than myself, which will solve my problem. What I did with it is I flipped it. I said, I didn't even know I did it because this is the way I do things. Its main object is to enable me to find a power greater than myself, which will help me solve my problem. I'm not looking to God to solve my problem. I'm looking to God to give me what I need to solve my problem. So God became Tyla's helper. And please look at your life and see if you're doing that. You know what I mean? I went on 3 interviews for a job. Went to prayer and said, God, I need that job at the second interview. That's the right job for me. I didn't say to God, God, please guide me to the job that you think is the right job for me. I didn't do that. I didn't know I was supposed to do it. You know what I mean? And I think it was very hard to give up the idea that I could not manage my life. Sometimes it's just going to come to you slowly. Sometimes it's going to come instantly. But the idea, I just had this idea in the back of my mind that God, as I inventoried through the years, this is one of the things I saw, as God gave me the power to manage my life, I thought, God has given me so much. He's such a great God that I'm sure that he wants me to manage some things because he's got to be busy. You know what I mean? So I saw it, especially in my sex life, my dating life. I thought, this is my thinking. I thought, God has done enough for me. He is busy. He surely will be so happy when I manage this and don't go to him for it. So that was with my dating life and with my money. But I thought, I can manage my money. God doesn't need to do that. Now God manages all of my life, most of it. At times I forget and I fall short. But I used to think that, and that really caused gaps in my spiritual life, in my spiritual basis of life. That's a gap. That I'm not getting the power, the guidance, the love, the understanding, the care that I can get from God. I'm taking over. I'm playing God. Okay. So then, in order to understand the bedevilments, my bedeviled life, they take us to page 52. Oh, I'm sorry, page 51 I want to talk about first. If you want to go there. The bottom of 50, in the face of collapse and despair. Well, that's how I felt when I certainly didn't understand the spiritual malady. In the face of collapse and despair, in the face of total failure of their human resources, everything I bring to the table minus God, they found that a new power, peace, happiness, and sense of direction flowed into them. This happened soon after they wholeheartedly met a few simple requirements, of course, the 12 steps. Once confused and baffled by the seeming futility, uselessness of existence, they show the underlying reasons why they were making heavy going of life. Leaving aside the drink question, they tell why living was so unsatisfactory. They show how the change came over them. When many hundreds of people are able to say that the consciousness of the presence of God is today the most important fact of their lives, they present a powerful reason why one should have faith. So now they've taken me out for my greatest excuse of all about why my life is unmanageable, alcohol. Because I'm an alcoholic, my life is unmanageable. No, they don't confuse and baffle by seemingly futility of life. They show the underlying reasons why they were making heavy going of life. Life was heavy going because I was carrying it myself. I didn't have a God that was helping me carry it. It was all on me. They tell why living was so unsatisfactory. I couldn't handle it. I don't know if you look back, alcohol and drugs were the buffer that helped me to handle life until it turned on me. They show how the change came over them. And that's what you will experience and I will experience. And I hope I'm sharing with you how the change came over me. Turn to page 52, please. This is the paragraph that describes the bedevilments. And it's the second paragraph down. We had to ask ourselves why we shouldn't apply to our human problems the same readiness to change our point of view. And what Bill is asking us is that we changed our point of view with the physical craving. The physical craving, the problem with it was not the result of drinking. It wasn't going to jail. It wasn't losing a relationship. It wasn't going broke. The problem with the craving was inside. I have an abnormal, like Michael said, reaction to alcohol. You take 10 people and you give them all alcohol, 1 out of those 10 will have the physical craving. So it's abnormal. It's an allergy, an abnormal reaction to alcohol. So that's inside of me. So then with a mental obsession, excuse me, then with a mental obsession, it is inside my mind. It's not, like I said, the things that are a result of drinking, the crazy things, right? I have an obsession of the mind that takes me back to a drink or a drug even when I don't want to. I'm powerless over it. So they're showing me that the problem is not external. It's not the result of drinking and drugging. It's an internal condition. So they're saying to me about the bedevilments, I should look at these bedevilments and changing my point of view that these bedevilments are not external. They're not a reaction. They're not a result of my external life. They are inside. So they're going to give me a list. We were having trouble with personal relationships. Was I? We couldn't control our emotional natures. Now, my emotional natures is different than my emotions. My emotions are what you're going to see outside of me. You're going to see that I'm angry, I'm resentful, I'm jealous. You'll see that. That's external. But my emotional nature is internal. I cannot control my emotional natures. I cannot control the way I experience life. I cannot control the way I react to life. That are my emotional natures. We were prey to misery and depression. Not the kind of depression that you need medication from a psychiatrist from. That's not what they're talking about, because some people need that. They're talking about I was prey to misery and depression as a reaction to life situations. Life's not going well. I shut the curtains. I don't talk to anyone. I unplug my phone. I don't go to meetings. That's if I'm, know this as I'm longer in the program. I don't go to meetings. I shut the drapes. That's what they're talking about. Prey to misery and depression. It just comes on me because the way I'm experiencing life. We couldn't make a living. I couldn't create a life on my own that could keep me sober or happy. It's not how much money you make. Can you create a life that's really worth living? No, I couldn't. I lost everything behind alcohol and drugs. It was horrible. I lived on the streets doing prostitution. It was really bad. We were full of fear. Fear always directed my life. Every decision that I made when I was new in sobriety and out there was based on how it would affect my fear. If the decision helped me have less fear, that would be the decision I made. If the decision would give me more fear, I wouldn't make it. So fear, in a way, was really my God. Because whatever I rely on is what is my God. What's the thing in my life, in your life today, that you most rely on? Is it money? Is it sex? Is it God? The longer I'm sober, the more I grow in reliance on God and the easier my life gets. Doesn't mean it's perfect, doesn't mean I don't have problems, but I can go through those problems easier because my relationship with God is closer because I'm continuing to practice reliance on God rather than self. We were full of fear. We were unhappy. Some writers say that happiness is based on happenings and that it's what happens outside of you. And so I say, was I happy? To me, happiness is my external world, like I said before, about my reactions to it. Happiness is, to me, based on the gratitude in my life for the life that God has given me. That gratitude is one of the most powerful spiritual principles that needs to be practiced. Practice these principles in all our affairs. To me, if I'm not doing gratitude lists in my meditation, you know what I mean, in my spirit, in my heart, it changes my day. I mean, I am such a believer in gratitude and how it changes your attitude. And it really, really works. We were full of fear. We were unhappy. We couldn't seem to be of real help to other people. Now, I can't seem to be of real help to other people. It could say can't seem to be of help to other people. Why did it say real help? Well, in prayer and meditation, I asked God one time, why did you put real help? You didn't have to put it there. And intuitively, what I got was because real help is help coming from reliance on God. That's real help. That when I'm working with someone that I'm praying, because we're supposed to be of help to everyone everywhere that we go. You know, we're supposed to be kind and loving and patient and considerate. This is the life of the big book. And how well am I practicing it? Not just the people I sponsor, but throughout my life, and especially to those relationships that I've listed in my inventory of the bedevilments. Isn't a basic solution of these bedevilments more important than whether we should see newsreels of lunar flight? Of course it was. That means ideas about the future. And I like this paragraph underneath. I like to read it. You know, it's not in Dan's book, so but I found it helpful. When we see others solve their problems by a simple reliance, there's reliance again, upon the spirit of the universe, we had to stop doubting the power of God. Am I willing to stop doubting the power of God? Our ideas did not work, but I look at this sentence this way, but God's ideas did. So I want to talk to you a minute about the spiritual malady. And I know there's an exercise in Big Book Awakening. I'm not going to get into that because you can do it with your partner. But I want to share with you what I learned from Dan Sherman. So I can't see the spiritual malady. The spiritual malady is transparent. Like, what does God look like? I can't see it. It's a condition within me. It's a spiritual disorder. But the way that I see it is that it's reflected back to me in the bedevilments. When these bedevilments are active, I'm in a more spiritually disordered condition or unfit spiritual condition, whatever you want to say, then maybe I need to be, or I would like to be, or is it dangerous? You know, what am I going to do about it? You know, because it gives me like a temperature gauge of my internal condition, because it's not easy to see it. First of all, I don't want to look within because it's too scary, but it's asking me to look within because it will be purposeful in my life. So I can't see the bedevilments. I can't see fear. I can feel it, but I can't see it. But I can't, I can't really see that I'm unhappy, right? Although I may feel it, but it's saying that all of these things, this is how I understand, all of these things together can make for a very risky condition inside of me if they're all out of whack. Okay. Now, if one is, it's not such a big deal, but if they're all out of whack, I think I need to take a look at what's going on spiritually within me. This spiritual condition is a result of spiritual conflict inside of me. I'm standing in the place of God. I'm playing God. And I'm standing in the place of God instead of next to God. I am not surrendered to the fact that I have to quit playing God, or playing God doesn't work, or whatever you want to say. When it says I stood at the turning point later on page 59, it says I stood at the turning point. That comes from Sam Shoemaker, who was a big contributor. Bill met with him every week, numerous times a week, to write the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. And he was an Episcopal priest, and he was incredible. He has a lot of books that I've read that you guys would love. So Sam Shoemaker said that the turning point is self-surrender. Not just Shoemaker, but all the early men, Fosdick, Buckman, all of them. Self-surrender is so important, means that I give up the idea that I can fix my bedevilments on my own. Not that it won't come back once in a while, but I get back on track, you know what I mean, through prayer and meditation. And if I don't understand the depth of this spiritual malady that I'm up against, why am I going to pray and meditate? You're not going to be able to live in a state of overcoming this. Remember, it says on 64, when the spiritual malady is overcome, I straighten out mentally and physically. So if the spiritual malady is not overcome, I will not straighten out mentally and physically. This is very serious stuff, you guys. I mean, you better know that you have a spiritual maintenance program of 10, 11, and working with others in order to keep this in an overcome state. I've recovered mentally and physically, but I will always be recovering spiritually. There's no end to this. If I'm not growing in this piece of the circle and triangle, the spiritual side, if I'm not growing in my practices, if I'm not growing with working with others, if I'm not doing inventory and looking back, what could I have done better from that 11th step? How am I going to grow? And the book says, I better be growing. I better be seeking. And for me, that's been life-changing. I never knew this before the Big Book Awakening. My life from that point on, and working with Dan and understanding the spiritual malady, and that this is a reflection of my internal condition that I can't see, it gave me an understanding of what I'm up against like nothing else did. So I want to give you, it's 9:30, but I want to give you.
You got plenty of time.
Thank you. So I love you, Mike. I just want to give them time. I love you so much. So when I'm taking someone through for the first time through the bedevilments, I ask them to write down the bedevilments. Ask them to write down 10 of the most important relationships in their life that they're having trouble with. Like if it's a cousin they haven't seen in 10 years, that's the relationship that you write down that I'm having trouble with. And so then we look at that, and I ask them to do it in a meditative way. When they make the list in prayer, say, God, please show me the trouble with personal relationships. Please show me the trouble I'm having with my cousin in this personal relationship. And to try to do it in an intuitive way, because it may sound like a fortune cookie, but God is going to talk to you. And this is a great way to start developing that, like, two-way prayer, having that personal relationship with God where you're listening. So you write down what God directs you. And if you don't hear anything, write down what you feel is a difficulty. And so you do that, and then you inventory it, reading it to your sponsor or step guide. So if you've been around for a while, okay, this is the exercise that I give people on the bedevilments. I want them to do the same thing, write down the bedevilments on a piece of notebook paper and write the 10 relationships. To do the same thing in a meditative way, asking God what the trouble is with all of them, the same thing, and intuitively writing down what you feel you heard from God, that the trouble is with my mother, with my brother, with my cousin, whatever it is. You write down all of that. Then you write down next to that what your solution is for the trouble you've seen in these relationships. not going to God, what your solution is. Then when you're done with that, I want them in a prayerful way to go to God and ask God, please show me the solution to my difficulties with my mother. Please show me the solution to my difficulties with making a living. Please show me. So then next to your solution, you're going to write your intuitively gotten God solution. And I have found this incredibly helpful because, we want to grow in areas of doing our inventories and our work, not to get completely off track, but I think this is in alignment with what the big book is telling us, because then we're getting a closer relationship with intuitively listening to God, which is always the final goal in this step work. I have them do that with all of them. Full of fear. God, please show me what the problem is with my fear. Write my solution. Then go back in prayer and ask God, what is your solution to the trouble I'm having with fear? And one of the I just want to share this with you. One of the things I see in mine, not as much anymore because I've done a lot of work in the step work in the BBA, is that in the personal relationships, one of the main problems I have, and I'll see this in my 4-step, is that I want too much from them. I want from those people what only God can give me. I put demands on those people to be and do who I need them to be so I'll feel okay. I don't come to them full of the love of God so that I can give to them instead of get from them, because sometimes I just don't have it yet as I'm going through the work. But eventually I will be able to get what I need from God: love, kindness, understanding, compassion, care, comfort. Remember, I turn my will over to the care of God. He cares, and he is a caring God. And I can go to those people in the relationships to give rather than to get, and my whole world changes. Because I was so empty and so needy that I would go to people and then be upset because they couldn't give it to me if they wanted to. And I have to get to that place that my life is so much better. Because see, the spiritual malady is showing me how I experience life on the inside. When the way I experience life changes, my whole world changes. When my internal condition is filled with all of those great qualities of the love of God, the security of God, the care of God, the understanding of God, the compassion of God. When all of that is, I experience life different, and you can watch it. And I know you've all seen it, but you may not have been aware of it. One day you're just not doing well, and you go to the bank to do some transactions, and you're just irritable, and you just have a shitty exchange with that teller. It's not the teller's fault, although you'll probably call me if I'm your sponsor and tell me it is, but it's not the teller's fault. It's your condition that I, tell people all the time, if you can, before you get out of your car to do anything, take a moment to pray so that you can bring to that teller, to that grocery clerk, to that waitress, to these people that you're going to contact with, so you can bring kindness to them. Because I believe 100% God wants that. He wants love and tolerance of others is our code. That's a code we live by. So then let's say a week later, I go back to the same bank and it's easy peasy, no problems. I go in, the girl is friendly, I'm friendly. What's changed? It's my internal condition that I maybe got up from my spiritual practices too soon and left the house spun out. But I can get into that state of neutrality. The book promised me I will be in a place of neutrality and not reacting to life like I used to. And the book promises me that. The 12 steps promise me that. And you'll be able to live from a place, not perfectly, but most of the time, I can live from a place of neutrality where I'm not reacting and living like a pinball machine. Ping, 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 all over life. I don't want to live like that. I want to leave my house with an attitude of looking to give and how I can give to people and how I can make other people's day a little bit better. So I came in with the attitude of give me God and then the attitude of make me your servant. Thank you for letting me share.
Thank you.
Tyla.
Thank you.
Oh, you're
Thank
so
you.
welcome.
That last little
pleasure.
part there too, especially the exercise around the bedevilments was really, really helpful.
It's a good one. Oh, I'm so
Yeah.
glad, Michael.
So
Thank you, Tyla.
a few people joined in a little bit late, so I'll just let us know where we're at. Is we're finishing up our first step, pages 44, 45, and pages 52. Tyla also referred to a lot of other pages. This has been recorded and it will be posted later. So if you just have some questions about recapping what she shared, we're actually going to post the audio later. We're going to open it up now for any questions and any feedback that we want to get from Tyla while Tyla is here. So please raise your hand and you can jump in with questions. We really want a lot of questions. That's why Tyla is here with us. And again, thank you so much, Tyla. This has been amazing. The one thing I will point out what you ended, and it is completely changed my life. Instead of being a getter and a taker from every relationship I've ever had, to now that God has empowered us to be a bringer and a giver, everything has changed. Everything has changed. So thank you for that reminder as well.
Michael,
yes.
Michael, I want to ask you a question.
Yeah.
Because it's so amazing to me. Did you ever think that would be the way you were?
No, I thought that's how I was supposed to be. I was so wrong. Yeah, I thought that's why we had relationships, was to pull and get those things that I needed.
Yes.
And most of them loved me so much, and they could not give me what I needed, and I demanded more.
Yes.
Love you, Tyla. I'm grateful for you.
Thank you. I love you, Vinny.
Okay, let's get to some questions, and then we'll open it up for more even
Let's
after
have
that.
a love fest.
Yeah, I know. That's what it seems like. I love
what
it.
It's supposed to be.
Elizabeth, then Sheila, and then Clarissa, and there's more hands up after that. Elizabeth, hello.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth. I'm an alcoholic. Tyla, thank you so much. Your talks have transformed my recovery, and I'm so grateful for the service that you do. And it's really changed the way I sponsor too. But the question I have regarding the spiritual malady, I had someone I sponsor ask this, and it really started me thinking about how, like, every human being has some kind of spiritual unrest because we're human. And so how could I explain, even to me, like how my spiritual malady might be different than just a regular human walking on the planet?
Great question. I think it's important to spend some time talking to some regular people. When I take people through the work, one of the things I do at the physical craving, I do an exercise where I send the people home, whether it's in a workshop or whether it's one-on-one. I want them to talk to at least 3 people that are non-alcoholic about their experience with physical craving. Does it happen to them? Do they ever see it? Because it's really good to compare it, to see, and people have learned so much from that. So I would tell you to speak to some people about it. I think that it says on page 30 that the delusion that I'm like other people or presently maybe has to be smashed. That means, they said presently, because that means Tyla at 34 years, or Susie at 10 years, or Mary at 16 years, right? I will never be like other people. The book states that many, many times throughout the book, that I am bodily, mentally, and spiritually different from others. And I think that it's a little bit risky, especially on the spiritual side, because most people I'm going to talk to aren't even in touch with that. So-called normies, I don't know a better name for it, but because, if they're a fixer and controller, they're not a normie. We are born with, Jung says about this spiritual unrest that we are born with, that he equates it to alcoholics thirsting for God. in a way that another person isn't, thirsting to fill up the emptiness inside of us.
Mm.
So I don't know if I gave you a perfect answer, but that's the way that I see it, that we have this condition inside that is the bedevilments that other people do not have. We may see that they have some of it and think that they're like us, but when you get down with it and really talk to them, they're not. Most people don't kill themselves through addictions, right?
Mm-hmm.
To fill up an internal condition and emptiness. Most people don't do that, even normies. And I know we've all seen normies, that say, oh my God, my drinking's a little out of whack. I'm going to quit. That's not my. I drink over what they quit over.
No, that's really helpful. Thank you.
Thank you, honey. And my number's next to my name. Any of you can call me for anything that I can help you with.
Oh, I'm going to take you up on that.
Sure, do.
Excellent
I mean
question.
it. I don't just say it.
Yeah,
Michael
yeah.
will tell you I mean it.
Absolutely. And just message into the chat bar if you want more information, or email us at recoveredfrom@gmail.com, and we will definitely get you in touch with Tyla as well.
Doesn't my number show up next to my name,
It
Michael?
definitely does, but we have quite a few people who just listen to the audio. So
I got you, baby.
Yeah.
Thank
so
you. Okay,
they
great.
can
Thanks,
reach
Michael.
out to us.
I'm
and that was a great question.
Yeah, great question.
Sheila, then Clarissa, then Kim.
Hi, Sheila, baby.
Hi, Tyla. Hi, my name is Sheila. I'm an alcoholic. My favorite grant sponsor ever. I don't have a question. It's just the identification of, like you shared, you were sober 12 or 13 years, and it just, there was something missing. And, I was sober 24 years, and I had never heard of Big Book Awakening. I had heard of the Big Book Thumpers in Redwood City Redwood City near San Francisco. I never went to their meetings because Redwood City is too far, but I was always interested, Big Book Thumpers. I want to learn more, but I never went. I never heard about the bedevilments. Any Big Book study I went to, 52 was skipped over, right? And so just, now, sober 26 days today, and it's
yay.
Yeah, but it's such a difference from after my relapse. It's jumping right into great sponsorship, great meetings, the Big Book Awakening twice a week. It's I feel such a difference from any other time that I've been early in sobriety. It just makes a big difference. So I'm a big fan of BBA and a big fan of you, Tyla. And I love you.
I love you. Thank you so much, all of you.
Welcome to the family. Clarissa?
Hi, Tyler. Ditto on what
Hi,
you
sweetie.
just said. But I have written here some notes, and I have a question. You had mentioned something about ideas about the future, and then I either glitched out or I missed something. Can you expand on that? Or
well, it just says it's just it's the bottom line of the bedevilments that they say it's more important to get these things and understand these things and get them straightened out than it is to see newsreels of lunar flight, which means the future. It's really not that important. It just, to me, it's just a comparison.
Okay.
I mean, we're people that live in the future. Future tripping is dangerous for us.
Yeah.
Although when we get into when we get into step 10, the vision of God's will, we can go from hindsight to insight to foresight. But living in the present day is one of, to me, the most important things for us. Living in the present. Not that we don't have, future dreams and all of that, but we're people that have a tendency to live in them. And that is what's not very effective for us.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure, honey.
Perfect.
Sorry, I was muted. Kim, Denise, then Nina. Kim.
Hi, Tyla. I'm Kim from the UK.
Hi, Kim. Hi, honey.
Spoken before. Hi. So I came into the OA rooms probably about 6-7 years ago as an atheist. and worked really hard and did have a spiritual awakening, then found two-way prayer, through which I found BBA. I worked my 12 steps. I got neutrality. I was sponsoring. And then I had a bit of a nervous breakdown. And then I got quite poorly for about 18 months. So now
Can
I'm
you
back.
say that? Can you say that again, Kim?
So I had a bit of a nervous breakdown about 18 months or so ago. I got very ill after having that. And I lost my connection with God. And I isolated from BBA. Anyway, now I'm back. I'm in step one again. I'm in step one in ACA as well. But I'm finding it really hard to have the willingness. Everything you said makes so much sense to me, but I'm struggling to practice it, to do that prayer and meditation. And I'm coming to the meetings, I'm doing the work, my food's all over the place, I'm in the bedevilments. Why am I struggling so hard?
Well, I'm really sorry that you had a nervous breakdown. I also had a nervous breakdown at 5 years, and I'm really sorry. It's really scary and traumatic. And maybe you're trying too hard. Maybe that's the difficulty. Maybe you're not letting God work through you as much as he can. You know, when you said you lost your connection with God, God didn't lose his connection with you.
And I know that. Yeah,
and he loves you dearly. And maybe you
yeah.
just need to relax a little more and let it happen rather than trying so hard.
Okay. I can feel God. I know
What
God's
you
been
say?
with me the whole. I feel God in my
Well,
heart. I know God's with me, but I just won't connect.
One of the
Why?
ways that we can get blocked from God is through the way we think God should show up.
Mm.
And God can show up any way that he wants. You know what I mean? And so sometimes because he's not doing it the way we think that he should or he ought to, you know, we can feel like he's not there or we're blocked from, but I don't believe we're ever blocked from God. And I won't get into that because that's down the road. That I think you should take everything you said to me to God. Have you done it?
No.
Everything you said to me, speak to God in your heart deeply and intimately about how you feel and your fears and your not being able to feel him. God wants an intimate heart-to-heart relationship with us. He loves us. We're his kids, and he loves you. And so take all of that to him and let him give you the comfort and the peace and the ease that you're looking for, because he will. And sometimes it's a struggle at times, but out of that struggle will come the best of you. You're like a caterpillar. I always say, you know, how a caterpillar struggles out of the cocoon. I've thought of myself many times like that. And then I become a butterfly and get to fly. And I really believe that's the way some of our struggles help us.
I'll relax. Thank you.
You're so welcome, sweetheart.
Thank you.
Denise. Hey. Hi.
Everybody. Tyla, I'm so happy to see you. Hello.
Oh, thank you.
How are you? I see Michael. I don't see you. There you are. Oh, it's so good to see you. And thank you for always upholding and conveying to us all the spirituality of the big book and how God is in there. I am in another fellowship, Recovery 2.0, the beautiful fellowship, their yoga and
I know the fellowship well.
You know, okay, good. Well, I'm going to ask you to speak on one of their meetings, but I'll call you privately on that.
Okay, honey.
Because they'll love that. But you know, and not everybody is understanding of how spiritual the big book is in that fellowship. Some people are, and you just nail that God is there, and that Bill and Bob, when they wrote it, and the 100 Men, they unlocked the spirituality for us, and that it's a spiritual disease that we have, and that we don't know our soul's purpose and all that. And I understand that we're different bodily and mentally, but we're not bad. We're
Hmm.
not, we're right. And I used to think that, okay, I'm different. I'm bad. I'll never get it. I couldn't talk to God the way you're talking about talking to God until, it took time. So the Kim that spoke, just take it easy, right? It's going to take time. And the more desperate I got, the more I was told to talk out loud to God and be intimate, like he's my friend. And I did it. I didn't think he'd be there, and things switched for me. So it's not relying on my sponsor. It's not relying on meetings. It's relying on me with my higher power. And then of course, all the people help too. Yeah. So thank you. I love you.
You're so welcome.
And I'm
Love
so
you,
glad you're
Denise.
still doing this. I love
Thank you, sweetie. Thank you
Okay.
so much.
You're welcome. Take care. Thank you.
Thanks, Denise. Nina, and then we've got Teresa and Alexis.
Hi there. I loved listening to you. When
Thank
you
you.
were saying about this exercise where you write about your relationships that you have trouble with, I'm having family troubles right now. And so I immediately thought, my mother, my brother, my sister, my niece. And I'm the only person in my family in recovery, and they're not well. And I have prayed a lot about this. I've been talking to God about it all day. So the timing's really good. And all I can think of is just surrender, 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 surrender. I am offering these relationships. I'm turning them over. Is there anything else?
Well, you can always call me. There are some things, but my struggles with relationships is that I want too much from them and I want them to be different. I can't get my hands off trying to control them. It's really hard sometimes, but the more that you do work around this particular area, the freer you will be. There may be people in my life that I can only go see them for an hour. That's it. That I have to look at each one individually, that, how do I see them and take care of myself if I want to. And some of them may need to meet people that are only a phone call.
My family is not well. They're really not. And it's hard to sit with that. I mean, I've been in Al-Anon, and that's just super hard.
Well, you've known a long time they're not well. Is that what's hard to sit with?
It's clear there's some of them are less well. Some of them are getting less well. And they're afraid of me. They don't want me. They are pushing me away. And there's nothing I can do about it. It's like, it's up for God. It's painful. And I just wanted to say something. And really, I want to say thank you.
You're so welcome. You're so welcome. There's a lot of solutions out there for you. As far as taking care of yourself, you know what I mean? Coda and Al-Anon. And, I would want to know the beliefs you have around your relationship with family. So, because Michael will probably talk about beliefs in the inventory, so sometimes the belief, you're there for your family no matter what. Sometimes the beliefs we have can really keep us hooked into something unhealthy.
Thank you.
You're so welcome, honey. Thank you for the question.
Very relatable, Nina. And we are going to get to the inventories pretty quick. And that's where the basis of my real solution has been, in my own inventories. My family never got so well as when I got well. And it was only
That's so
through...
good, Michael. So true.
It was through the inventory process. So we're getting there. We're getting there quick. Teresa, hey.
Hey, everybody. Teresa, drug addict, chaos creator, food addict, blah, blah, blah. Keep on going.
Yes.
Tyla, you rocked my world this morning with your share. And, I've been doing the work in the BBA now for a couple of years, and I'm finding myself on this roller coaster that you talked about today, being the spiritual malady. So, it's profound what you've shared, and I would love to talk to you, but I wanted to ask you about the bedevilment exercise that you had talked about our relationships, and then actually going through the fears. But do you recommend going through all the other things that are in the bedevilments and writing them down?
Yes.
Going to
Yes,
God?
when you inventory the bedevilments, inventory it all. You know, I do the 10, I ask them to do 10 relationships, the most important relationships, and then write down about making a living full of fear, can't be of real help to other people, and then ask God to show you the trouble with can't be of real help to other people. You know what I mean? Trouble making a living. Write down what God says, then write down your solution next to that
Okay,
for what you saw.
right.
And then in a contemplative, meditative way, ask God to show you his solution
Okay.
to the trouble that you're having in those areas.
I'm just curious if you have some kind of form, because
It's in my
I
head.
struggle like keeping things
Right,
organized.
Pat?
It's a lot. It's really a lot. And I can see the usefulness. Have
You mean
written
it's
it
a
out?
lot? What I said to do is a lot?
It does seem.
It's really not. It may seem a lot, but it's very
Mhm.
simple.
Okay.
You know,
Right. Okay. And the other thing is like the way that you have been so gentle with people in your responses. I just really admire that in you. And thank you.
Thank you.
For
Thank
being
you.
willing to share your gift.
Thank you so much, honey. And I'm here if you want to chat about it. But I know it can seem a lot, but once you start writing it, I think it will flow easy. We're not asking, God, please show me the trouble I'm having with my relationship with my brother. We're not asking for any big writing. Just write
Okay.
a couple sentences. You know what I mean? Don't
Okay.
get into long writing. That will happen in the inventory. Does that make sense, honey?
That really helps. Thank you.
Okay,
because
sweetie.
It's easy to write a novel.
No, yeah, don't write a novel yet.
Thank you.
Sure, honey.